Welcome and thank you everyone for joining our webinar on online panel management. The presentation is designed for small, medium, large-scale firms or individuals who are considering developing an online panel and may not know where to begin. Our session should last approximately an hour, and we will try to dedicate a little bit of time to look at the back end of the software, some features, and of course our Q&A. Again, my name is Rudley Raphael. I'm the Director of Panel Solutions for Survey Analytics. I've been designing, developing, managing online panels for a variety of research firms over the past 15 years. So I've seen a lot of it tested, different platforms. Some of them are not created equal, obviously, if you've been reviewing these type of platforms in the past few months or years. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We will talk a little bit about online panel landscape, the industry challenges we face, some of the advantages of using an online panel, how to select the right panel management solution. We'll discuss the micropanel platform, some panel management best practice to increase response rate, reduce attrition, panel recruitment practices, and also the type of reward that you may be offering your respondents to participate in surveys and various activities. We have a lot to cover, but I'll try to go through each item and highlight some of the items that I think are critical to your panel development and management needs. All right, let's look at the online panel landscape. This is virtually non-existent 10 years ago. I'm not saying there wasn't any at all, but when it comes to panel management platform, they were very few and far between. Online research has become the data collection mode of choice, replacing, I would say, more traditional methods such as face-to-face and telephone. While the economy has certainly affected the industry, online panel providers have seen the most dramatic growth in the MR sector, believe it or not. More than $2 billion were spent on online research alone in 2009, and I can project this trend is going to continue. 85% of online research spending is supported by online panels. And the industry is still dominated by a handful of providers who account for more than 50% of all panel revenue. So while there are a lot of smaller panels being developed, sample providers are eating a huge market share from this sector. The rise of social media combined with the anticipated growth of the mobile industry will definitely result in the creation of more panels. We will see that happening time and time again. You may have a panel if you have a customer database you're managing, communicating for feedback, insights on products and services. Essentially, that's a panel. You may not have the proper tools to manage these respondents, get cross-referencing data with survey data to tabulate this information, but panels come in different shapes and sizes. It's about the tools you use to manage these respondents effectively. So let's take a look at the some of the industry challenges. Top one on the list, obviously, is data quality. That's an issue that continues to plague the industry, particularly when it comes to large panels and online sample providers. This problem can be attributed to, newer players who are entering and taking advantage of the space, and also ineffective panel management practice can also affect data quality. Panel response rate is really low, less than 50% among most Gen Pop panels. Again, probably due to respondent fatigue, bad incentive structure, or simply the online space has changed and consumers have other distractions. They're kind of tired of panels and seeing the same offers over and over again, click here to win and enter drawing and so forth and so on. And then you have your industry standards. While a number of research bodies have attempted and made some progress in developing standards, they're not always practiced by all panel providers. A lot of people who run panels, they sit in their own little island, have different privacy policies, terms of use, and when they run their drawings. So this is an issue in the industry that's still being talked about, debated, and a solution has yet to be provided where everyone is on the same page of that. War among panel providers, panel access to B2B, and low incidence groups have maintained a very steady pace in price. However, the rapid growth of online panels has created a price war among panel providers, particularly with GenPop. And although a number of panel management software solutions are currently available, panel management software licenses can be very expensive. You can look at anywhere from between $10,000 a year for a license up to $100,000 a year, depending on the type of panel you're building or how many respondents you anticipate on having on that panel. Now, of course, we're talking about tier 1 level solutions that offers a integrated platform with surveys, reporting, analytics, and panel management. Hopefully, that would be the solution you're looking at for that price range. So let's take a quick look. If you're thinking about building a panel, what are the advantages of online panels? Why should you build a panel despite all the challenges that we looked at? The pros definitely outweighs the cons here in this situation. You know, data collection. This can be done relatively. An online panel can provide you with a readily qualified pool of individuals for fast research turnaround within 24 to 48 hours, depending on the complexity of the survey, the population you're surveying, incidents. Control over data quality. It's your own panel. You dictate the survey content, who to send the survey, and what incentive to offer in order to maximize response rate and also the quality of your data. Panels also yield higher response rate compared to other data collection methods. Most users have access to their email at least once a day, so when you deploy a sample, it can be in the person's inbox within minutes, as opposed to paper, telephone, where the person may not be at home. And survey invitation make it very convenient for the user as well. It is less intrusive, and it provides a level of comfort for the respondent to address that email at their convenience. Extensive profile information. Here, this is probably one of the, as I mentioned earlier, there are panels in different forms, but your ability to collect profile information on your panel members, behavioral clusters, purchasing habits, that's what will differentiate your panel versus an extensive, what I call an Excel sheet on crack. Your profile should consist of demographic, sociographic, purchasing habits that can be cross-referenced with subsequent surveys that these panel members are invited to participate in. So that's really a big plus in my book. And also the advantages of reducing project costs. This is a big elephant in the room that research purists, despite their infatuation with other data collection methods, that this is a point that simply cannot be argued. It also explains why methods such as telephone research is dying. Too labor intensive for telephone research, too expensive, and so online data collection is definitely the way to go when it comes to reducing project costs. So you're ready to build an online panel, and the first thing, obviously, once you have your panel logistical design in place, it's to go through the software selection. This can be a daunting task, and there are various providers out there. Some of them are very good, some of them are not so good, and it's something when it comes to software, either platforms, they don't all created equal. The first thing to consider, obviously, is the size of your wallet. Costs, like I mentioned earlier, can range from 10K, and some platform can offer anything from 5K as well, depending. You just have to look and make sure that what you're looking for in the panel management platform is what you're getting. In terms of cost, it depends on the size, how often you intend to conduct surveys, and whether that pricing model that this provider or that provider is offering works for you. And things to avoid is what I call the Godfather pricing. This is where they make you an offer you simply can't refuse. And later on you're going to be nickel and dime by panel size, data collection fees. Some guys flying from LA to New York to give you a training for 3 hours for $4,000. So those are things to consider. Additionally, charges for customizing the platform itself. There are platforms that are old in technology, and each little feature that needs to be customized have to be passed on to another tech member. There's issues a string of emails, communication between your company and your IT staff, or so that's something to keep in mind. How easy to use the platform. The platform itself, is it a hosted solutions, meaning the software sits on the provider's servers and therefore their database, their web services are maintained by that provider? Is it installed on your own server? Having the software sit locally on your platform, you control who views your data and the limited privacy concerns as well. Depending on the size of your company and how sensitive you are to privacy and who looks at your data and so forth, that's something to look at. But typically hosted solutions are a little bit cheaper, and they're easier to maintain because whoever is maintaining it, they're in the business and they know what they're doing. They can push things like updates relatively quicker than your team can most of the time. The software capability itself, identify features that are important to you. Such as, does the panel management platform have some very good sampling features? Recruitment tracking, member portal that can be customized to any level of specificity. The more robust of a platform, the more money you should expect to pay for it, of course. And there's what I call a lot of sizzle, no steak. Don't be fooled by pretty graphics with no back-end functionality. There are some really nice platforms out there with nice HTML style sheets, but at the end of the day, is it doing what you want it to do? That's something to consider. Integration. Understand the architecture and how flexible the platform is to integrate with your APIs, such as a reward catalog, or maybe a CRM application like Salesforce, or even communicating with social media platform where you can deploy your surveys to Facebook, Twitter. I mean, these are things that they're standards right now. Facebook is no longer, well, I don't like it, I don't use it. You're going to be forced to use it at one point or another in some capacity. The learning curve. Is the system robust enough or simply overkill? Sometimes we want a lot, but are you ready to deal with that? Do you have the staffing to accommodate such a robust platform? Does it offer a number of functionalities that you believe you may never use for the entire life cycle of your contract? I've seen that happen where a system is extremely convoluted, has a lot of robustness, but at the same time, 50% of those menu items you probably rarely get to use. Do you need a course refresher or 2-hour training each time you log into the system? That happened to me, and there's some platforms, each time you log in, there's menus over here, left and right, and that in itself is a different language that needs to be learned. Can your employee or colleague run a project in your absence? Are there people that are hijacking your platform because of how the architecture is made? And I've seen that as well. You have a platform where only one dedicated individual can use that platform. Point and click access, usability, those are things that you really need to look at. Are there clearly defined help files that explains each process without digging into a 500-page PDF? Those are the things you need to look for as well. Sometimes you need a simple task and you have to go through a large help file and you really can't find it. And there are things like the technology. Here you simply want to know if the platform is keeping up with the current state of technology. This will definitely impact integration, upgrades, feature requests, and so forth and so on. So those are things to consider when looking at a panel software solution. And we can here look at the panel workflow. If you are new to online panel, you'll see you can upload your respondents to an existing file, or you can recruit these individuals, send them a registration to join on the website. They double opt in, they log into the member portal, they complete their profiles. You can have subsegments, and then the data is analyzed on the back end. So let's take a look at, assuming you're ready to design a panel or launch a panel yourself, what is it that you need in terms of items that need to be in place. Panel design outline, for example, benchmark questionnaires, profile information, that key elements that every panel should have. They identify the variables needed to have on each member that will include or exclude member from specific studies. Panelist communication materials such as privacy terms, rewards, you should have these in a template. Member portal design and layout, whether you have a graphic designer that will be doing these things for you, and some platform can allow you to do these things relatively easy by pasting in your logo or header graphics. Having a first survey, this will ensure that members stay engaged and see that your panel is active. What that does is, the minute that somebody registers and you're conducting recruitment, you have a survey sitting there for an individual to participate in without having to wait for an actual project. This can be an exercise survey. Subsequent surveys, same thing. Have other profiling and surveys ready for them to take. Panel size. Panel size is often the first criteria addressed in building a panel. It is the panel size may be a percentage of the population available, a fixed number, or based on the panel utilization plan. And that will be dictated by the frequency of surveys, your recruitment methodology, and of course, your pocket size. Survey frequency, how often will you be sending out survey invitation to panel members? Set some rules, and they can be implemented as default settings in your panel management platform if it offers that. Survey incentives. There are different strokes for different folks. What will you offer your respondents for survey participation, or when they register to join the panel? Points, cash, gift certificates, gift cards, and whatnot. These are all things that affect panel response rate, panel attrition, and those are things that should be considered when it comes to your panel design outline. Let's talk a little bit about panel recruitment, some of the items we already cover here. If you're going to build a panel, obviously you could recruit from scratch to various media channels, or you could use a database source that you already have of your own customers. Those are the two ways that you could do it. I mean, there are other methods as well, but for the time being, we can focus on those two. Recruitment channels, a variety of marketing efforts can be used to build your panel relatively quickly, some of which can include purchasing an industry list, using an ad network, co-registration, or even social media, which provides pretty good registration and response rate. And keep in mind that response rate, pricing, and data quality, all these things can vary by each one of these methods we just outlined here. An affiliate program. Again, this is a process by which owners of a website who have large volume of traffic will post your link or banner on their site to drive respondents to your registration page. Can be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, it produces great results because your offer is placed in front of a lot of different sites. Engagements. After they've been recruited, what do you do with them? Now what? You need to think about that. Attrition is probably one of the biggest issues on any panel, and part of it has to do with people who are overutilized, respondent fatigue, and also underutilized. So something to think about. Have some recruitment tracking tools. Know exactly where your members are coming from, how they were referred, what source they came from. So those are all things that you need to consider when it comes to recruitment. And the reward that you offer in panel members also have an impact on the quality and the health of your panels as well. We at Survey Analytics, MicroPanel offers a point system, and I always say if it's good for American Express, American Airlines, and Capital One, it's probably good for your panel as well. If you're concerned about points, it's a way to keep members engaged, to feel like they've earned something for every activity. So that's something that I would highly recommend. As I mentioned earlier, the one shoe does not fit all. Some members may like points, offer some level of flexibility. Others may like cash or gift certificates. Target your reward based on the population you're surveying. What works for one person may not work for somebody else. B2Bs like different things. Reports or findings. IT decision makers like and general consumers may like points and that $5 million reward. And My rule here is that rewards are not meant to be treated like rebates. If you're going to offer a reward for your panel members, make sure that they actually get a chance to cash in at one point, not feel like this is a scheme. Have activity rewards. This is where having a point system is very effective. Offer points for surveys, registrations, and other activities. That way, when you are asking them to do things like updating their profile, they really have a reason to do it. Drawing. If this is your reward of choice, ensure that it's conducted in a timely manner. Post some rules on your site, and winners are announced. Respondents, are really skeptical about drawings, but sometimes, depending on budget, you may be limited to that reward of choice. Survey incentives. I say, survey incentives should be analogous to the survey length, questionnaire complexity, and the type of audience being surveyed. Again, one shoe here does not fit all. So those are things to consider when it comes to rewards. Let's look at some best practice, and I'm going to try to rush this thing here so we can look at the panel management platform a little bit here. Here I have the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Respondents are very savvy, and they do not need a lot of hand-holding. And simply put them in stick shift mode when where the process is clearly explained step by step. This includes survey invitations, registrations, and various other activities. Whenever a member lands on your site, the old marketing rule applies. You have 6 seconds to capture that person's attention. So make sure your message is very clear. Set reasonable expectations. Understand that a typical list, if you have one, is been sitting around, it yields about 1 to 2% response rate. I've known a lot of people sitting on 100,000 lists and they thinking they have 100,000 panel members. Well, that's not the case. But a well-managed panel will yield an average of 25% response rate. Treat your members like experts. This is the the #1 rule when it comes to panel management. Their opinions do matter. It's not just a tagline. And because it does provide insight into your brand, product, services, regardless if it's about Coke or Pepsi. Be an advocate for your panel members. Tell your clients every once in a while you will not run that 60 minutes length survey with 20 different quotas and all level of complexity while they're on a limited budget and looking for good data quality. Not going to happen. And I've had to do that a few times. Otherwise, you're burning your panel members. You jeopardizing the integrity of the data. And so those are things you can do every once in a while, even in a bad economy. Incentives, rewards. Don't insult their intelligence. That's something that you will see your attrition rate, just skyrocketing. Set participation rules. We often preach it, but we don't always practice it. And add resting period after each survey. Of course, it depends on the size of your panel. The bigger your panel, the more flexibility you have, obviously. But select your sample based on survey participation history. Maybe some members respond to certain type of surveys or topics, certain time, and so forth. Just because someone doesn't respond to a survey today does not mean they don't want to participate at all. So those are things to consider. Address every email. Again, your members are your customers. Address their needs on time. Otherwise, expect them to talk about you on Facebook or on some type of blog. One of the things about panel management, those items here I'll go through quickly. It's quality, not quantity. I've managed panels, let's say a very niche panel, could have been of 10,000 people. I could get a 60% response rate versus a million user panel is yielding about 10%. So it's really about the quality of the panel, not necessarily. And in that, what needs to be achieved, what I call panel intimacy. If you're managing your own panel, you should develop some level of intimacy with your panel members. Their behavior, their survey taking patterns, the type of incentives they respond to. These are things you should keep your eyes on. It doesn't really matter what size the panel is. Test, and test one more. You can never have enough redundancies in place. Pre-testing your survey, making sure the links are working properly. These are all things that keeps consumers engaged in the panel and they understand the flow. Survey invitation overkill. Try to avoid that by any means. Don't just exercise blast to the entire panel just because you need to set up a survey. Reminders. Use them absolutely when necessary. Excessive reminders will result in panel members requesting to be removed, not because they don't want to be part of the panel, but it's crowding their inbox for no reason. Survey templates have various type of templates. The one shoe fits all again applies here. Some people respond to lengthy journal survey invitations, and others respond to short and sweet, hey, here's the survey, here's the link, come take the survey. And know your audience, obviously. Resting period, we talked about that. Incentives for even disqualifiers, something that most people don't practice, but if the person went through 5 questions of screening criteria and they didn't qualify, if you have a point system, give them 10 points, whatever that might be. At least they feel like their time was not completely wasted. And this is similar to what I call throw them a bone every now and then. And last is to have a parachute plan in place when everything else fails. Know exactly what you're going to do if that survey link doesn't work. If the site does not work, what is your backup plan? What is your parachute plan? Let's see. We will show you a little bit about confidence score later on. This is something that's a patent pending solution on micropanel. What it does is it allows you to set a score between 0 to 100 on each profile questionnaires that you have, and there's an algorithm on the back end of the system. As you selecting your sample, you can say, okay, if the person's profile information hasn't changed when they registered, and hasn't changed meaning for good reasons. In other words, if they registered as male in their survey, they stated that they were female, then that would drop their score. So as you're selecting your sample, you can say, hey, let's select a sample where the confidence score is 100 for these type of profile fields. So it would look for inconsistencies in data collection over time, where if you had straight liners and so forth, it would remove these people or drop their scores, and therefore you would have obviously a lower number in your sample, but it would ultimately result in better data quality. So what should you have at the end for deliverables at the completion of your data collection plan? Panel engagement tools, panel management dashboard to view metrics, member portal administration, panel segmentation, recruitment tracking, online research tools, and also some level of data delivery. Micropanel offers a community portal for panel registration, profile management, the ability to customize multiple panels on the fly with ease, quick polls, a variety of add-on modules that can be used, message boards, respondent management, obviously a uniform software platform that combines surveys, reports, analytics, panel management, mobile, social media, and some very good advanced reporting tools, and a custom reward solution that incorporates points, cash, gift certificates, and also a reward catalog of your choice. We currently integrated with gift certificates, Amazon.com, but some clients may be using something a little bit different. And these are all the different models we talked about that we currently support. And what are the advantages, and why we're giving you a demo here to talk about micropanel. It's in comparison to some of the things we talked about earlier here. Our pricing, our licensing fee are very affordable. Unlimited survey data collection, where some platform they can charge you anywhere from 75 cents to $1.25 per completed surveys, and that can significantly add up over time, over the year, over that licensing year. So something to keep in mind. No upfront development charge, meaning we don't charge you for customizing the panel portal. We'll help you out throughout the entire process, whatever the issue might be, and there's no consulting fee for that. Unified platform, as we discussed earlier, surveys, reporting and analytics, and the custom reward solutions are all part of micropanel and integrated platform. Here we can see some basic screenshots of micropanel, and I can go into the system at this point just to give you an idea what differentiates micropanel from other platforms. Let me make sure I can still have login here to the system. All right, good. Assuming you had a license to the platform, hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is what you would be presented with. Your surveys, you can edit them here, reports, mobile application, integration with CRM, and advanced analytical tools, and you would be presented here with the panel. Here you have a list of panels. Let's assume we wanted to create a panel from scratch. This is something that can take forever on certain platform. It's really a 1, 2, 3 process. Give it a name, give it a subheading if you want to, give it a short panel URL. Let's call it, let me see, demo, can spell panel 1. I like surveys, URL demo panel 1. Okay, click next. Hopefully I don't have this as a test panel. Click finish, confirm. And in essence, your panel has been created. This process we just went through basically on certain platform requires an extreme amount of communication between you, the client, and the provider to customize this. In essence, we have just created a panel, assuming you had 7 panels you wanted to launch with different branding, different landing pages. This is the process that should be repeated to do that. So let's take a preview here of that panel we just created. Now this is a standard layout that gives you an opportunity to customize the look and feel, fully HTML capable, different style sheets that can be used. Obviously, you can put your own header graphics here. There can be additional menus that you can enable. You have also a short registration page and also a customized registration page if you are paying for recruitment. The back end here, again, it depends on your level of creativity. If you have somebody with some HTML experience, and basically that's really the panel we just created. This panel is ready to be used day one, and this is something that I think differentiates MicroPanel from the rest of the pack here, because I've used a lot of platform in the past, and I would say that process on some platform right now can be a daunting task. Here you automatically by default have a recruiting link. You can change that recruiting link. You can view exactly where people are coming from. These are your basic settings. And here are all the different HTML pages that can be customized. In this case, this is your home page that we just created. Here's the home link text. You can make that to appear on the main tab of the link menu or the footer menu. Below here, you have also your HTML that can be HTML or raw text, depending on what you want to use. And it's a matter of just saving your changes and move on to the next pages. Contact us and so forth and so on. You have a dedicated landing page for recruitment, assuming you wanted to have a different source. You can do that and collect more profile information. We have various themes that can be used for background and so forth. Website logos can be uploaded directly into our image library, and these are logos or header graphics that can be used throughout the entire system. And each section within the platform can be saved in, separately without disrupting the flow of other things that you may have going on. Google Analytics, depending on the size of your panel, this is something you could use here, where if you have a Google Analytics account, simply plug in your account number, log into Google Analytics, and view metrics in real time with regards to what's happening with your panel. So that in itself, I would say it's a very valuable piece on MicroPanel. The next item that I would like to take a look at quickly here are your panel member profiles. This is something that can be somewhat time consuming on certain platforms, and I'll just show you what can be done in that capacity. Let's assume you have your panel and you wanted to set up a gender. Let's call it gender, give it a label. We'll select a field type and call it male and female and other. We can force them to answer that question. We can make it a private hidden field. And we also have conditional logic that we can make the profile behave like a little survey. In other words, the people who are seeing this profile question have to qualify that criteria. I only want to show it to people who are a certain age bracket. So this is this is something, and it's as you can see, click add user custom profile, and you just created your profile. That's how easy it is. You can also create extended profile, what we call sub profile or specialty profiles. In this case, you have all your demographics information set up. You can create, let's say, health and wellness, IT decision maker profile, automobile profile. And each of these profiles, as you're creating the sub segments, you can assign points to engage people. So let's say we call the automotive profile, we can give people maybe 50 points for those who completed those profiles. And again, these are related. This is just a segment of this. So once you create this sub profile, it's a matter of just creating more profiles under this segment here. Default surveys, another very important tool to engage respondents and get them to be active day one on the system. As you will see, when the person registers in the system, they get an email confirmation. They need to double opt in and get logged into the system. Well, day one, perhaps you want that person, the minute that they log into the platform, you want them to see that, you know, maybe that customer satisfaction survey. They can take it immediately. How many points you want to assign for that, and you can even treat it like an actual sample. Perhaps you only want to see females between certain age group. Once you have more profile information defined, you would be able to do that, and those are the people who would be able to see those type of default surveys. So those are things that I would say differentiate survey analytics when it comes to your panel management platform of choice. I'll try to go in a different, let me see if I can access another demo panel with some level of data to give you an idea of what our analytics looks like. For example, once you've segmented your profile information, you will see, you will be able to get a quick snapshot overview of how many people verified, how many people are new, bounce email, unsubscribe, and you get real-time metrics of your profile information, your gender breakdown, percentages, and so forth, marital status, depending on whatever it is that you've set for your panel. And below here, you can see a real-time registration dropout trend of your panel as well. How many people completed on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, people who are dropping out, and get a nice little curve of certain activities over time in the panel with regards to registration and survey completion as well. So those are things that are really, that I think are highly valuable when it comes to managing your panel. We also have a member, what I would call a panel management screen in the event that, let's say, a member called and complained about something. Click on the member's record, and the entire information from invitation to IP address to survey participation history to description of activities in real time, and also member profiling information, along with additional details from email notification, changing their status, can be done within this single screen here. Can even go into the member's account to view, in the member portal that is, to view what they're seeing in real time. Perhaps the person's complaining about unable to do something or redeem their reward, and so forth and so on. So that would be another way to log into their account. Email password, perhaps they're complaining they forgot their password. You can send it to them directly from here. Verification code, they registered and don't have that verification email. You can resend that to the panel members. There's also, let's look at a project history that gives you, give me a second. Points and reward system is probably another thing to look at. That gives you an overview. Like I said before, we offer points for various activities. You get an overview, a point distribution report of how many people have earned X amount of points on the panel for what activity. So those are things that we can look at that helps you in managing your panels very efficiently. Um, there's also the flexibility of customizing a reward solution. In this case, we're using Amazon.com. If you wanted to add a different reward structure of choice, it depends on the API you're using. It could be Amazon gift certificate. You would have obviously the API specification that would be plugged into the system. Very user-friendly, very customizable. The system has a help file, as I mentioned earlier. Wherever you see a question mark, it's a matter of clicking on it. It displays a process from a pictorial standpoint, and you can further delve into more queries through our internal database by typing different key terms that you may be looking for. So again, we try to make this as intuitive as possible. However, packing all the tools and all the punch that you need when it comes to managing your panel. Let's look at a project history, for example. We can look at something like this. Once you've selected your sample and you've sent out your survey invitations, you get a real-time report. This report is not running. You get a real-time report that shows how many people have completed the survey, how many people have terminated. It even shows you the profile of the respondent. In this case, I'm using an example of 150 people who completed the process, but you can see the breakdown: pending, started, completion, delivered. You can refresh, you can resample your project, you can even download that sample file. You get a real-time metrics of that actual sample, so meaning this is the breakdown of the individuals that make up the sample here. 70 people are male for the 130 people who completed the survey, and that gives you an idea. And you can get even deeper into a profile scorecard. You can kind of manipulate your sample as it's coming in real time by different segments. You also get an email scorecard, the open rate, the multiple open rate, the click-through rate, how that email activity is going on as you deploy your sample. You get to see a time day report based on how many individuals are completing your surveys daily. That way you can measure those trends, and if there are adjustments that needs to be made on a daily basis, when to send those surveys and so forth and so on. Domain report shows you, I think this was off for this one, it shows you how many people are coming from various AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, and so forth and so on. So it's a really good tool to use when it comes to deploying your sample and monitoring the activity of your project in real time. At this point, that's all we have for micropanel. If you guys wanna ask some questions, I can answer some questions right now. I think we have a few minutes left. And wait for a few people to ask some questions here. All right, I got a question from Mike here. Mike asked me how easy it is to customize the member portal. Are there any limitations? You can change the header graphics on the portal. You can change the footer graphics. You can change your logo. It depends on the specification of your HTML, whatever that limitation you may have with regards to person who have HTML capabilities. But you can change the background colors and scheme. It's very flexible. Obviously, it's a panel management platform. It sits on a software, so there are certain controls on the back end that you have to keep aware of. But for the most part, your branding, you should be able to put whatever type of branding, images, anything that you want to add to the panel management member portal. Okay, how does the point system work? Basically, you provide points for people who register. When they register, you give them some points, and that point can be equivalent to a dollar value. So 100 points may mean $1. So when the person reaches a level to redeem their points, and they'll be able to cash out and redeem their points for a reward of their choice. And that the point system is integrated fully with a reward catalog in the case of Amazon.com that you can use. If you have a different reward catalog like point.com, there are a variety of them out there that you could use as well. At this point, we would have to look at that API and integrate it with the backend of the panel management system, because some clients have different reward system of choice. So in essence, you can provide points for a variety of different activities on the platform. It can be surveys, can be profile updates, and it can be anything from any type of activity, sending out a newsletter and so forth and so on. Okay, I got another question here. This is Mary asked me a question about can you host this platform, on their own servers. Survey Analytics MicroPanel is a hosted solution. We don't currently allow you to provide to host that platform on your own servers. We host it because we have so many other tools that are complementary in different modules. We think it's in our best effort to keep the panel management under the Survey Analytics umbrella and offering it as a hosted solution. This is why our pricing is more reasonable than most of our competitors, and this is also why we're able to provide unlimited surveys. And one of the reasons why we prefer this model is because it avoids. We have a lot of clients who are using the system, and the disconnect sometimes between the survey platform and the panel management platform. If the survey platform is not working properly, and we have to consult with the IT staff of that platform, and then there will be finger pointed. So we control our destiny, and we when we guarantee 99% uptime, we can fulfill that promise. All right, thank you, everyone. We're cutting a little short here. That concludes our session for panel management, our webinar on panel management. If you have any further questions, please feel free to let me know. You can shoot me an email at Rodley. Let me put the slide here. Rodley.raphael@surveyanalytics.com, and I'll be able to answer any of your questions with regards to panel management software features, pricing information, anything that you may have in this regard. We intend on conducting a series of these webinars. Next topic will be using social media research to fuse into your panel management needs. We'll talk about data quality on some webinars. We'll also talk about panel health. And some of the key items I had outlined in my agenda will kind of expand on them and speak about them in more specific, and also discuss MicroPanel itself and some of the features. We're adding features to the panel management platform on a regular basis. There are things that weren't there last month that we are adding. The goal is to expand this platform to the needs of our clients. As things come in the pipe, we're rolling them out. So look forward to having you attend our next webinar. We'll be posting them on our blogs and also on the website. And if you have any information, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and I'll get back to you and provide you a personal demo of the platform itself. Thank you for your attendance, and I look forward to seeing you again.